Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint this deer in the winter snow. I'm going to do it step by step from start to finish. Got my husband Mark with me.
Hey, everybody.
He's going to chat for our live show, so if you've got questions, you can ask them and I'll try to answer them. Let's get started. Alrighty, I'm going to be using a 9 by 12 inch canvas today. This is the Fredrix Mixed Media Canvas board from, did I say 9 by 12? I don't remember. 9 by 12 size. It's been one of those mornings. We're having some technical issues, so we're starting a little late. I have coated it with just a gray. It's just a gray leftover when we did our barn painting on Tuesday night. I had some of the gray that I was using for that one left over, so I just used it to coat the back here just to prime it, give it a ground. It was Ultramarine Blue and Phthalo Blue and Burnt Umber, so that's what I've painted on here. It really doesn't matter what gray you use because we're going to be painting over it, but we're just kind of going to use it as sort of a background. And then I've transferred my deer onto my canvas. I just like to do it now because you can paint your whole background if you want to and then transfer your deer on, but just know that you probably need to let your paint set for a little bit because when you do it onto fresh paint, even though it's dry, it's not cured yet. And so it can kind of chip the paint off. So I prefer to have it ready to go. Are we doing okay? You're clicking around?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. I've got an 8 flat, a 6 angle bright, a short Filbert 4 and Filbert 8, and then a round number 2 and a Filbert number 2 in the Aspen series from Princeton. They're our brush sponsors. Thank you to them. Thank you to Fredrix, our canvas sponsor, for providing our canvas today. These are new to me. This mixed media line is a new canvas for. These ones here are new to Fredrix, so they're for watercolor, acrylics, and inks, and airbrush, and all kinds of odd water-based paints. So I actually really like them a lot. I've been using just a few of them. I've probably painted 4 times on them now, and I like them quite a bit. All right, I'm also going to be using the VelvetTouch line. I've got a 3/8 inch, a 1/4 inch angle, and then a 4 round, a number 1 round, and a 1/4 inch and 3/8 inch blender. These and these have a very similar texture, the Aspen brushes and the blenders, so I'm going to kind of use them interchangeably. If you don't have the Aspen series, you can use these instead when I'm using the Aspen. And then I've got a fan brush. All right, let's go. Here, I feel like there's.
Palette.
Are we okay?
Palette cam?
Yes, palette cam. Go. Got carbon black, burnt umber, burnt sienna, yellow oxide, quinacridone magenta, ultramarine blue, phthalo blue green shade, unbleached titanium, titanium white, zinc white here. And this is mostly just going to be for the snow later, the splattering. And then this is gloss glazing liquid. And I've also put out a little bit of burnt umber and ultramarine blue over here because I know we're going to use it for our trees and things here in the background. All right, let's get going.
Do it.
Are we doing all right over there technically? Everything's okay?
We're streaming.
Okay, well, good. I don't know what. Did YouTube change some settings or something?
I have no idea.
Okay. Let's just go. I've got an 8 flat here. And I'm going to mix these 2 colors together, equal parts, so it's going to make a nice dark black, brown kind of color, gray. It looks like I had a little bit more of the brown in there than the blue. If you have exactly equal parts, it'll make just like a totally neutral gray. But if you have just a little bit of one or the other, it'll kind of lean towards that side of the color spectrum. So this one is probably a little bit more of a warmer gray with a little bit more of that brown in there, which is totally fine. And I've got my brush just really loaded up here. I am going to scrape all of this up. I probably should have done this with a palette knife because now this brush is really loaded with this. I'm going to smush off as much as I can, get most of that paint off if I can, and then pick up some white. And over here, yeah, you can see, now that's a nice gray. I think I did pretty good. It looks pretty neutral. Okay, so that'll be, yeah, just a little bit lighter than what we've got going on here. And wipe that off. I'm going to get some Ultramarine Blue and Phthalo Blue. And I have that gray still in my brush here. So I'm just going to mix those together, make a light blue. And then, again, kind of offload as much as I can. I might wipe off some of it. Pick up just white over here and make a very, very light blue for our snow. Now we'll be dipping into these, so what you're going to want to do is spray that down, because when you flatten out your paint, they start to dry a lot faster. So I think this will work for us, though. We've got several different colors here that we can kind of draw from. All right, so I'm going to pick up a little bit of this darker brown. And I'm just going to kind of lay in sort of my foreground. It goes from sort of right by his cheek here. By the way, I have the traceable for this available, so if you don't want to draw it, you want to put it on your canvas. If you don't, and I'm not going to go over the drawing today, just to save time. It's our last. I'm on vacation. I'm already in vacation mode right now, so sorry if you were hoping to.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know. What?
Exactly.
Yeah, sorry. It's free. If this was Patreon, I would be I would be trying it with you, but
So this may be as far as we go right here, and you're gonna have to use your imagination for the rest.
this was Mark's idea. No, we're going to do a good job today. I'm just saying, I'm not going to.
We're just a little loopy. We've been hitting the hot chocolate early today.
It always kind of throws me off when we have technical issues just before the show. It's like, so why is my mic on half muted? I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to get some of mixed a little bit of that gray here with this. I'm going to, you can tell I'm scattered because I started here and then I'm going back to the background. I decided I really want to do the background before I do the foreground here, so. What?
Just kind of paint a little bit here, a little bit
A little bit here, a little bit there, just kind of move around here. And really having these antlers in the way is not going to make this easy. So I would definitely say paint your background in first and then do on your deer. I'm going to try to go over these very lightly so that I can still see where they're at. I am going to paint them in a little bit darker really quickly here. Just using that dark gray that we'll be using our trees. Having this dark underneath is going to make it show through the blue when I put it on top. I just don't, it just doesn't work very well when I've tried to transfer on top of wet paint. It's not cured enough for me when I'm doing these live shows. You know, because if you're painting this at home, you could do your background and then go get a cup of coffee or tea and let it dry a little bit, let it cure for an hour or two, and then come back to it. But doing it live like that, I don't have that option. So using the pencil and that wet paint just is, because then you can't erase it. You know, if you make a mistake, it's pretty much, it's kind of scores the paint almost. Guess I could transfer it. That would be a little bit more gentle. All right, by having these dark antlers in here, back here, I think we'll be able to see these underneath my paint, even if I paint over them a little bit. That's what I'm hoping, at least. That's the idea. Let's put in the main outline of him. I'm kind of thinning out the paint a little bit. Go and fill in the eye in case those get covered over. Okay, there we go. All right, so I've got kind of his main outline in there. And then we can kind of continue to paint over this area. I need to add some water. I'm gonna have to move my mic up. Can people hear me okay? Or is it muted? No, it's not muted.
No,
It's fine.
It seems like it's working all right.
Okay. Crisis averted. You can see how I am brushing this on, trying to brush it vertically so that I'm getting kind of these streaks in the background. And then what we'll do is wipe off the parts that are getting over that antler there. What we will do is just put in some indication of some tree trunks. I'm not going to go, these are all kind of blurry in the background here, and I really want the antlers to stand out. So I felt like well, I mean, it's probably a natural camouflage. Obviously, his antlers are supposed to blend him into the background, but for our sakes, we don't really want that because then we can't see him in our painting, you know, so we're going to make him stand out just a little bit more. So we're going to not put our trees in quite as dark, and that'll help his antlers stick out a little bit more, and we can see his shape a little bit better. His form. That makes sense. So just kind of putting on a light blue gray here, but I'm letting it kind of be streaky on purpose. I'm just kind of picking up a little bit of the gray at times, a little bit more of the blue at times, and just kind of going down here, and always kind of making sure that I'm keeping these, especially where they end here, very kind of light and not too solid. Just kind of letting that brush, and these kind of, that's where this kind of a brush comes in handy because it's so firm, it can really push that paint around and cause almost like a dry brush effect in our paint here, where it's kind of breaking up a little bit. And you can see how now that we have that dark underneath on the antlers, we can go over them with this, and it's not covering them totally. I'll still be able to see them to paint them in later. It's working. Okay. I'll make sure that I go right up over the ears and the antlers, you know, wherever they are, because I don't want any outline around them. So don't be afraid of just going right up over them. If you've done it this way, the way I have. Okay, and I'm going right over this foreground area that I kind of started and then decided not to do that. Okay, so there we go. And then I'm going to get a little bit of that dark brown, but I'm going to really mute it out quite a bit with my white. And I'm just going to find some areas where I want to put some trees, and I'm going to put them in, but keep them pretty soft. See how that kind of blended in there? That's what I'm going to do with my trees. I'm going to press my brush flat so it's got a nice straight edge. You see how those the bristles are sticking together really well. Somebody asked me about cleaning brushes the other day, and I am really, Mark can tell you, fanatical about making sure that my brushes are completely clean. So when you get done with the painting like this, you need to give yourself at least 15 minutes to clean your brushes out at the end of every painting that you're doing, every painting session, depending on how many brushes you're using. But, you know, if you only use one, then maybe 5 minutes. But, you know, if you've got a load of brushes, sometimes it can take me, you know, longer, maybe half an hour even, of just cleaning them and rinsing them out and cleaning them again and rinsing them out, checking. I clean them at least twice, and then I check to see if there's any residue on a white paper towel. And you just press down really hard on, you can see this one we just used a little bit ago for this outline. I rinsed it out really good, but it's still going to have some paint down in here. Well, maybe we got it all out, but well, no, I'm not seeing any, so we did pretty good on that. But we didn't get it all the way up in here. If I was to rinse this brush out, it would have a line of paint. Even if I washed it once or twice, sometimes it'll still have paint stuck up in there, because what it does is it gets trapped up in this part of your brush. It gets up under here, and it travels that, so that there's paint up in here that you can't see on your brush. And if you don't get that out, your brush will, it hardens, and the brush, it forces those bristles apart. So the brush can't make this kind of straight line right here that we've got. And then you know, I mean, you can still use it for other things, but you won't be able to get that precision that, you know, that you want out of it if, you know, if you're doing something like this where you want a straight line. So, okay, that was a long sidebar there on brushes, but I hate because you know, it's an investment. You're paying, you know, for the intermediate set we've got going on right now at the Brush Guys. It's a brand new set that we just made available with them. Kind of worked out what brushes to add and everything, and they, you know, there's I think 9 brushes total for $59, I think. So, which is like half price of the normal prices. But, you know, you're paying that much for brushes. You're, you know, what does that work out to be? $5 a brush, maybe? Something like that. Is that right?
How many brushes?
9 brushes, $59.
It's about $6.
$6 brush. Yeah. So, you know, if you're paying that much, you know, you want to take care of it. So, just take your time, make sure that you're leaving yourself time, because, you know, life happens, and, you know, I know there's been times when I have really not wanted to, you know, I really wanted to eat dinner instead of clean my brushes out. But if I let them set and don't clean them right away, then I know I risk losing the usefulness of that brush. So just food for thought. All right. So I'm just going to continue, and now I'm going to kind of come through and just do some smaller random lines, but see how nicely that did. And then we can do some cross branches, because, you know, it's not all going to be straight up and down. So just do some cross branches that a thinner, and you can switch to a smaller brush if you want to. You can use a liner brush, or one that's got a little bit more flexibility, some sort of a round brush, because you're going to get these lines are going to be very straight looking. So if you want something a little bit more organic and flowy, you can use one of these and thin down your paint a little bit and do some lines that way. But this is all very, like, you know, amorphous and faded and everything, so I'm not going to get too worried about getting these just kind of putting some paint in there, and I'm gonna wipe my brush out and kind of go back over with a little bit of my lighter blue again, and anywhere where my tree trunk looks really like obvious, I'm going to just dry brush a little bit of color over it. You don't want to disappear it, but I just kind of want to blend it back into the background a little bit so that it looks kind of like a foggy morning, maybe, you know, misty forest. I'm getting all these like square tops on here too, where I started those branches, so I want to be sure that I'm getting those off. I don't want these weird T shapes at the top of my trees up there. Okay, there we go. So I think that's about all I'm going to do on there. I like that. It's kind of painterly. Looks kind of like a foggy forest. It's in the same you know, style as our reference photo. It's kind of that muted color. And now I'm going to get a little bit of that blue, a little bit more of the blue, and I'm just going to start creating my foreground here, or my background area there, and then kind of as I get closer, we'll get a little bit lighter. But doing it side to side here, we'll kind of create these kind of planes of ground and leaving a little bit of that background gray showing. We'll just kind of make it look like there's breaks in the snow, there's some of the dirt showing through or something like that. Gives it that distance feel. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that I come over around the same area here and do this side the same way. I kind of had already started with this, but I'm going to go back over that. Maybe use a little bit of the darker gray in some places. Like some of these areas way back there, there's like kind of shadowy stuff happening real close up to the trees line. So nothing too much darker though than the trees themselves. So yeah, again, kind of keeping it very soft and painterly. Okay, there we go. Maybe do a little bit more of the brighter blue up here. Kind of creating a little bit of this blue and do a line coming through like that at a slight angle. Again, make sure that I'm getting right up over that neck, because it can be, it'll be weird if we have like kind of a line around it where there's no paint. All right, then I'm going to get my white. And my brush is still kind of dirty, so it's not going to be super clean. But I'm just going to actually clean my brush out and get a different brush here. I'm going to get this brush. This is the short Filbert here. This will just give me a little bit more control where this is going. Get a little bit of water on it. Wipe that clean. And in this background, I want a little bit of that color. So I'm going to get a little bit of that blue. Just a little tiny bit. I need it to be a couple of shades lighter than what we've got here already. So I want it to be highlighted. Yeah. In a picture, we've got some trees coming in like a little bit in front of this. You could do that if you wanted to. I don't think I'm going to. I'm just going to keep all my trees kind of a little bit farther back away from him. And then in this foreground, I'm going to really kind of get a little bit more of the brighter white. Leave in some of that blue again. Yeah. Okay. And we can add more later if we decide we want to make it a little bit more obvious, you know, but I think for now I'm pretty happy with that. You can also use, like, I know there's like some pine trees and things back in here, so if we wanted to, you could do some pine tree shapes, you know, like with a brush, and maybe like right in here. Keep it very light, very close to the background color. Maybe just some random tree-like textures. You could use a sponge too. And I think I'm going to take my paper towel and just tap over that. I'm going to press it in the background. I don't know if I like that. Probably should have just left it. Put some trees in front of it. I noticed it in the picture. I was like, oh, there's pine trees. Let's put some pine trees in. But then now it's like they're either see-through or there's either something in front of them or there's not. So we need to decide where they're going to be. I'm going to put these trees in front of them. And you can leave yours out totally if you don't want to do that. This one's a little bit softer, so I'm just going to kind of blend it out and then make sure there's some texture in front of it. There we go. I liked it better before. Just going to use the white here to... Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's the fun of the live shows, right? You never know what you're going to get. Well, for me. But you can't be afraid of trying new things, you know. Try it. If it doesn't work, you know, it's paint over it. And I might have decided that I liked it if I'd let it set there, but I need to move on. I don't have time to ponder it. So.
So will we be puzzling sometime later?
I think so. I think it's time. Forget the puzzles. I need to clear off that table, though. We've got all of our gifting stuff on that I need to gift wrap on the puzzle table, so I need to...
I'll move it to the spare room.
There we go.
And do you want to do your public apology now or later?
I have no idea what you're talking about. I plead the fifth.
I'm going back looking for the original text. Hold on.
Did I text you? Clean that up since I kind of covered over some of that. Okay, getting some white here. There are some kind of darker rocks in here too, so if you wanted to, you could kind of put a few of those in, but I'm not putting the values in quite as dark as what's in the picture. So again, I kind of want the deer to stick out. But we may get the deer done and decide our background's too light, so we'll see. I'm just gonna let that be for now. Pretty happy with it. All right, let's start on our deer. Let me see. I'm gonna go ahead and do the antlers because they're there, and I might as well. So I'm going to get a little bit of the burnt sienna and burnt umber. I grabbed a little bit of that gray mixture as well. I'm going to spray this so that I keep some of this background colors alive while I do this. I'm even going to grab a little bit of black. There we go. Using 4 round here, I'm just going to paint my antlers in. This one goes in front of this. It's like, why is there something sticking out right there? That one's there. Okay. So when you're doing this with the liner or with a brush, anytime you're doing kind of these fine lines here, you want to be sure that you're adding some water to your paint. But of course, adding water can thin it down, so you kind of need to find that balance between see-through and flowing enough to be able to use it, usability. So you may need to do a couple coats on this, and that's totally fine, totally normal. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and come up this one back here is all in a lighter color, so I'm gonna do those front ones first, and then I think this one came up this way, like that, and then get some unbleached titanium. Add that to this color and do this and this. All right. While that's wet, I'm just going to introduce some of the darker color to the bottom side of it and darken it up. Create some streaks in it. And I want it to be, if we did our background right, then we should be able to see this against our, that one got really thick. I don't know what happened there. Let's see if I can get that off without taking off my background. Okay. So I think that background is just about right because we're seeing these antlers. They still are kind of blending in just a little bit, but they're still prominent enough that we can see them well against that background. So if we'd done the trees any darker, they were just disappearing like in the photograph. You know, it was just disappearing so much that I just didn't like the fact. I mean, that's kind of his crowning glory, right? We want to be able to see those antlers. So don't be afraid of changing the reference photo if you decide there's something in it that doesn't work for you. Use your painting. It's just kind of a starting point. It just helps me. I would never ever be able to paint a deer from memory because I just haven't painted him enough. You know, artists that can do that are ones that have practiced, you know, drawing and painting that kind of thing over and over again. But unless or, you know, maybe have a photographic memory or something like that, which I don't, unfortunately. So I need a reference when I'm working on something like this, but it doesn't mean that I have to do it exactly what I'm seeing. I can get it close and then, you know, make edits as I want. Right, using a little bit of the unbleached or the burnt sienna with some white hair to kind of add some highlights on the tips of the antlers. This one is a lot darker than what we have it right now, so I'm going to darken that one up. And then along the bottom here, it's pretty dark too. Thin out that.
I just remembered we got a couple Christmas cards. I left them out in the truck.
Oh, okay.
I can go get them if you want to.
Sure. We'll talk about you while you're gone.
You can confess and apologize while I'm gone if you want. I'd like to. Well, here's the story. So a couple weeks ago, you know, we're doing a lot of shopping online this year to avoid all the mess out there. And so get a gift in, and Angela goes, "Oh, that's the gift for Spencer." Okay, oh great. So we didn't even open up the package, and you know I was already up walking around, you know, because I brought it in when I got home from work, and I distinctly remember bringing it into the bedroom, either putting it on the bed or on the side table. Then this past Monday,
From there, it's a mystery what happened to it.
right? So on Monday, get a text from my beautiful, talented, incredible wife of
Anal
32 years.
wife. No? What?
And she's like, "Hey, where's Spencer's gift?" Well, like I think I put it in the bedroom. It's not there. She looked a couple other places.
We tore the house apart looking for
So
it.
I said, "Okay, well, when I get home, I'll look for it." So I ate dinner. I got home, I ate dinner, and then I spent the next hour and a half going through the bedroom, going through the closet in the bedroom, going through the garage, going through the spare room, going through the studio. Couldn't
Hey,
find
I
it.
had already done that.
Right,
So
and she had already done it. And all the meanwhile, my lovely wife of over 32 years, sitting on the couch,
after I had already looked for it, it was your turn.
and this is dramatic reenactment here. Yeah, of course you lost it.
I
of
am
course you can.
not saying that at all. Don't even start. That is not what I said at all.
I know that's not what you said. I never said you said it.
Yes, you did. You said dramatic reenactment.
Right. Okay. Well, this is what's going on in her mind. In
You
my
don't
mind.
know what was going on in my mind. Don't even go there. You do not know.
But
You don't know me. Just
yeah. So, but her thoughts were based upon 32 years worth
Okay,
of
just-
experience.
just move on.
So, I mean, we looked and looked and looked. I looked even more.
I mean, it was driving me crazy because I can't stand it when I can't find things. I
So-
still don't know what was in that package because,
So on Thursday,
yeah.
I went through the garage again. I cleared out all the boxes. Thought, well, maybe somehow got mixed up with all the empty boxes, and I'm not there.
I shouldn't have ever even showed it to you. I should have just said I found it under the bed
And then my beautiful wife comes up. We had just got another package in, and it's
in the mail
the present that
that
was
we've been
missing.
looking for all week. So I'm still, like I said, I have no idea what was in that other package. I don't know. So Spencer's gift is safe and sound,
Yeah.
but
You know, and all
I
the
don't
time I'm
know.
like, surely she wrapped it, just didn't remember it. So she even went through
I went through the wrapping stuff
The wrapping,
too.
yeah,
I'm like, I have
wasn't
no
that
idea.
many.
There's no telling.
but that's our
I've been
life.
so distracted. I probably went and did something with it and didn't even remember. So
Yeah. So we
No
got
telling.
something. Not sure if we wrapped it or not, or if it's still
I'm
missing.
sure.
But
I don't know. I'm sure I looked. I must have opened it up and saw that it was something and then didn't remember. I don't know. I have no idea. I just distinctly remember a certain gift and, thinking that we had it and then looking for it and not finding it. So, oh my goodness. All right, going through here. We don't need to talk about that anymore.
we'll talk
Going
about
through here.
painting.
Okay, good idea. We're gonna go through here and add white and light colors to my. I'm noticing there's like snow on his antlers here. There's like snow built up. He's been standing out in the snow for a while. No, it's not. I was gonna say maybe it's like a fake deer that's standing in the guy's yard, but it's not. He's real. It's adding texture here to the antlers with that kind of gray color here. And then I thought you were going to go the car.
Oh, yes.
You were gleefully telling that story instead. He's just glad he wasn't the one that did it.
I found it.
Yeah, that found it. Alrighty, so that one, pretty good. I'm probably going to go back in here and darken up some of these areas with glaze, but I think that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. Let's move on to the other one, because really this needs to just dry before we try to add more layers on it. That's one thing that you'll learn as you paint with acrylics, that you really do need to let them rest a little bit in between your layers, because if you just kind of keep piling on color after color after color, and especially if you don't let the previous layer dry completely, it just won't, eventually it'll stop, the color won't even stick to your canvas, or you start even lifting sometimes you, if it's really fresh and it's really tacky in the middle of drying, you could even lift that color right off your canvas. So just kind of be aware of that. If you get to a point where you just feel like this is just not it just doesn't feel like it's moving around for you, it's not blending or whatever, then just kind of back off, let that paint rest, let it dry completely, do something else, come back to it. We'll do this side, and then when we get this side done, we might oh, there's Pickles. Fitz Pickles in the studio. Hi, puppies. How are you? How are you doing? How's you doing? Hi. There's our puppy. I have no idea where this one went to. I think it's up to here. Somewhere in there. Oops. Nice. And I'm using a little bit of the burnt sienna on here too. Burnt sienna gives it kind of a warmer orangey tone. Reddish brown. Who'd we get stuff from? Opening up. gray. Thank you, Shirley. Not pretty. I'm so bad. I have not sent out Christmas cards. I don't even remember how long it's been. It's been several years since I've sent. What?
I recognize that. That's Maggie Miller.
Ooh, beautiful. Oh, she painted that. It's hand painted. Wow. That's amazing. Thank you.
Where'd she learn how to do that?
Thank you, Maggie. That is so beautiful. I love the little joy you added. That's gorgeous. I'm going to set that right here where I can look at it. And then, oh, I thought you said there was another.
Yeah.
And that's from who?
From Maggie.
From Maggie. Thank you. She sent us some moolah, too. Yay.
I shouldn't have showed you that.
Mark was
I mean,
trying to slip that into his pocket while I wasn't looking.
This fell out of my pocket when I went and got the cards.
I see.
That's what happened.
I see. Thank you, Maggie. That was really sweet of you. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay. See how nicely those show up against those woods now too. I'm happy with the colors that we chose. I feel like this tree goes and doesn't go anywhere, so I'm noticing it's like kind of starts and then it doesn't go anywhere, so I'm gonna continue it on up here a little bit darker using this. Well, see now I can't see that. I need it there, but I don't need it quite that dark. So I'm going to go back over it. Maybe just move it because it just take the whole thing out. It just was kind of going up to this antler and then stopping, so. Let's see. Get some unbleached titanium, adding that to the tip of this one. Okay, there we go. So I went back in there and that paint was a little bit drier and added a little bit more detail there. Okay, and then I'm going to add a little bit more of the brighter onto this one here. Right where it kind of crosses over. Now that's a little bit too bright, so I'm going to have to tone it down, but I kind of wanted to start out with that really white color. And then we'll kind of get a little bit of the brown here and just kind of go over it and blend that in. Leaving the texture is fine. As long as we're kind of doing these streaks in the direction that that antler is growing, it's going to look fine. Just to leave, you know, some brush strokes showing. get that dark and make this one stick out from that one. So it's coming up underneath right here. He's hiding from the camera. He's right up under my feet. What you doing, pups? Did you have him on camera?
No.
Oh, okay. Thought you were gonna do the puppy cam.
I switched over to the iPad for my
Mm,
viewing.
okay. All right. Getting some of the black, dark brown here. All right. Right, we'll leave those to dry and then we'll add some of the highlights to that. I'm getting my 1/4 inch blender here. And I'm gonna start out pretty dark here and put in his forehead details here. Right up against those antlers. Coming down between the eyes, leaving this kind of eyebrow area there, because that's going to be a lot lighter. And here too. So it kind of does this line from the ear down, almost comes down in front of the ear here, but this one you're not seeing this side of it because it's turned. His face is turned away from us just a little bit. So kind of line almost straight down from that ear. I'm gonna bring in his ear. Speaking of, paint that in. Leaving just a little bit of space there between the antlers so that it really shows up. Pay attention to the direction that the fur is growing so that when you do this, your streaks are being created in that same direction like this, so that I can put in my white, but I could leave some of this showing. I don't have to cover up the whole thing because I've got it already kind of looking sort of the right shape and everything, and the hair's going in the right direction. So okay, there we go. All right, and then around his nose here, there's this band of light color that comes over right up against the nose. There's like this dark area, and then this area kind of comes up and around. So I'm going to leave that area a little bit lighter right there for now. And I'm just putting the darkest areas in with this color. So I'm going to move over and move down here and put in the neck. That area is nice and dark. Comes in a little bit and then comes down. Now you could do this on a square canvas. I cropped it square, but then I decided to go ahead and use this 9x12 because I wanted a little bit more room between the, beside the antlers. If I cropped it square, it would be like right here and here. It wouldn't have. Can you zoom out so you can see what I'm talking about? Never mind, I'll do it. So that I had a little bit more breathing room on either side, but you could do it on a square canvas and it would just kind of crop off just a little bit of that bottom there, and you wouldn't see these rows of trees on either side. So it's just a choice, whatever you want to do with yours. I was kind of on the fence debating doing it either way, so I think it would look good either way.
When were you on the fence? I didn't see you outside.
Mentally on the fence.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Okay. I'm going to get a little bit more of the brown burnt umber here and a little bit of the unbleached titanium. And this color is really close to what's our undertone here. It just doesn't have those blue tones in them to gray it out. It's a little bit warmer. So we're going to use that to kind of fill in some of these other areas here. Again, really being aware of where my hair is growing and what's dark and what's light here, where my values are. And get a little bit of the lighter color and add some of that in. But we're going to add the light in at the end, so I'm not as concerned about the light. I just don't want to lose my form here of, where the shadows and things are. Sorry, I got a stuffy nose today. I think that lady at TJ Maxx gave me something. She was coughing. Hopefully not COVID. I don't think it is. I don't have a fever. Just feeling stuffy today. Sore throat. But it's sad, anytime you're like even a little bit down, not feeling good, I'm like so paranoid anymore. Hopefully that will be better in 2021. I'm looking forward to. 2020 has been overall for us. It's actually been kind of, in some ways, kind of nice because we got to spend more time together, but not mentally, probably not so nice as far as the stress and everything. Just not being able to spend time with friends and things. All right. So I hope you guys all have a good Christmas and stay safe. Able to enjoy some time with family, if possible.
Where's the dog? Is he over there?
He's over here in the corner, way up underneath the. Okay, using the light color here to kind of buff it. And I think I'm going to keep him fairly loosely painted today. So I'm just going to get him as close as I can, but not get too fussy with all the details. I think I like a little bit lighter touch. A little bit more brush strokes showing and that kind of thing. Okay. Going around the nostrils a little bit with the dark. Above the nose is really dark. And get a little bit of the yellow oxide, start introducing that. We've got some yellows. This area around the muzzle. Front of the eye. A little bit in the ear. Again, this is just kind of tinting. It's not, I'm not really changing the values much here. I'll be getting those in here in a minute. Okay, and there is a little bit of the dark right there coming around the eye. Getting some of the lighter color now, kind of starting to add that. This is the Unbleached Titanium, so we'll be going another shade lighter after this, but I'm just going to add a little bit of that, just in a few places. Just start. How's chat? Anybody watching today? Are they all going shopping?
No, there's nobody watching.
Nobody watching?
No. It's just me and you.
Okay. Oops. Yep, blue here. Didn't mean to do that.
No, everybody's doing well.
Good.
Everybody's making the best of the situation.
Good.
Staying in, watching videos. It's the doctor recommended safe way.
There we go. It's a good time to be a YouTuber then. I've gotten a lot of really nice messages from people saying that they started painting with us during the pandemic, you know, for the first time, and that it's really kind of helped. I can see that because I've definitely kind of, it's helped me too. You know, just having this to look forward to and getting to paint with you all has been really fun this year. So we appreciate you guys watching. Hope you come back for more. We've scheduled all of our January stuff already, so you can check that out. If you click my name, it'll take you to my homepage, and you can see kind of all of the, click my name or my photo there under the video, and it'll take you to my channel homepage where all of the videos are for January 2021 are listed. And then we've got more on Crowdcast. We'll be posting those. Well, those are posted also. We'll have some Patreon exclusive videos as well. So those are on Crowdcast for the patrons who want to check that out. Hope you guys like them. They're going to be fun. Going to be painting a train. Couldn't quite fit it into the December schedule. I really wanted to get that train in before Christmas, but just didn't happen this year. So we're going to do it now and can maybe save it for next year. It's wintry, you know, it doesn't have to be the Christmas train. It can just be, doesn't have a wreath on it anyway, so it's not like it was super Christmas themed. It's just in winter time. So I think it'll be fine. Let me get some more of this. Put this in, try not to over blend it so that it stays kind of, the brush strokes showing really well. And then from here, from the bottom of the chin to the eye here, he's got kind of his jawline kind of right here. So I'll highlight that a little bit. Getting a little bit of that burnt umber. Tapping over, blending that in, and then I'm going to use, let's use a little bit of the burnt sienna yellow oxide. Spray this down so it doesn't dry. A bit of the unbleached titanium, burnt sienna yellow oxide, unbleached titanium. Here. Maybe a little bit of burnt umber too to darken it just slightly. I'm going to use that up along the antler line. Just a light kind of medium brown that sort of distinguishes those. And then there's a little bit right between the two eyes. There's a little bit of highlight above the brow bones here and here. And just a little bit on the forehead between them. Start of the nose where it starts to kind of come out. And then a little bit more obvious towards the nose. So this is kind of a medium value. We did our dark, we kind of did a little bit of the light, and now we're kind of going in with some medium value here and kind of adding a little bit of the mid-tones. And this just will kind of soften and make everything sort of play nicely together. We already had kind of some midtones in there with that gray too. So all right, let's keep on going here. This back here has got a lot of this golden color. We're seeing a yellow oxide here. Does anybody know what kind of deer this is? I don't know. I don't think the photograph said. Okay. Added a little bit of the darker color right there on his rump and kind of along the top edge there. And he's kind of shaggy. He's got his winter coat, so I'm not going like really smoothly along the back. I'm kind of, you know, letting those brush strokes kind of overlap the background a little bit. And then I'm going to get that dark burnt umber, burnt umber, and a little bit of black. Wipe That brush is flattened out, and I'm going to, so right off this hump here, there's like some lines in the fur that come down. Not a straight line, just kind of, but in that general direction. I feel like, I think I got that a little too big right there. I'm gonna have to, I'm looking at the photograph again. I think I did. Give that hair a little trim right there. There we go. All right, let's let that set. While that's setting, I'm going to go ahead and go back to the antlers here and work on those a little bit. Burnt umber, a little bit of yellow oxide, unbleached titanium. Burnt sienna. He's all pretty much the same, color starry, so you're just kind of using those same tones just in different places of his body. Yellows, burnt siennas, browns. Burnt umber here. Being awfully quiet.
I'm sorry?
You're being quiet today.
Well, I don't know what to say.
Okay.
I'm still trying to figure out why the audio thing is low on OBS.
Does it sound right?
It sounds fine on the iPad and on the phone. On the computer, it's a little low. I don't know why.
Interesting.
You did a Zoom call?
Uh-huh.
So I wonder if that had anything to do with it.
I don't know. I checked the settings. It said it was. It said it was fine. It might have.
Anyways. But yeah, you're doing good. I mean, doesn't really look like a penguin, but okay. Are you going to color his nose?
I thought about it. We could. I saw. He's not a reindeer though, so I kind of backed off because he wasn't a reindeer. I thought it would be fun to add a red nose on him, but I think I'm gonna skip that. Adding some darker tones just in some key areas in the antlers there. Let's add some of this brown that we mixed too. The blue. Okay, and then I'm just gonna give this a second coat because I can see some of the canvas through it. There. Burnt sienna or unbleached titanium here, but I've got this other color on my brush, so it's kind of toning it down just a little bit. And then the tip of his antler here is pretty white, so I'm gonna Going pretty bright with that. Same thing here. This one's already kind of in. I'm pretty happy with that. And then again right here. So just making sure that these areas, oh, and then this goes up higher. I didn't see that. It's white right here. And it goes from dark to white pretty quickly, so.
Is a humidifier helping?
I think so, yeah.
So it's turned winter time here, obviously, in the United States, and so the air's dried out where we live. And so we got a little humidifier running here. It's like a vaporizer thing, which is helping keeping the paints from drying out as well as spraying it once in a while.
Right. Yes, it does. It does seem to be helping quite a bit. Using that white. And right here. Oops. Kind of went off. Got that tip a little too thick. Get a little bit of the unbleached titanium to add to it, just so it's got a little bit of tint of color, but there we go. And then I'm lifting as I'm kind of pulling, just kind of flicking that color down, and that's what's gonna give it that kind of broken line. It's just a way of painting these details in without having to blend them. It kind of blends for you. Because it thins out that line as you lift it. So you don't end up with a hard line right here that you have to blend into anything else. It's just already blended. Getting some of that unbleached titanium here, and I'm going to kind of just lightly dry brush over. The paint is got kind of thinned. Picked up some water, so that's fine. I can still do it. And then this one is in front of this one, so I'm gonna put a highlight right there. Push that one back in the background. And then this one is in front, so I'm just gonna kind of add a little bit of this yellow, burnt sienna yellow mixture right here.
Real quick.
Yep.
Which brush are you using right now?
The number 4.
Number 4 Velvet?
Round.
Number 4 Round Velvet Touch. For the win.
This is one of the ones in the intermediate set. I'm trying to kind of use as many of those colors or paint brushes as I can so that you can kind of see how they're used. This one's in that set, and then this one's in that set too. I was going to do the trees with this one, but I didn't. I ended up using the flat. But I could have switched over and used it. Alrighty. Pretty good. I think I'm going to switch to this brush. This is the number 2 Filbert. If you don't have it, you could probably use the angle brush, 1/4 inch angle, or we can go back to this one. I feel like this one's a little bit thinner on the tip, you see, so I think I'll be able to get into some of these smaller areas with it. That's why I was saying the angle brush would work as well, because you can get into there, but the angle brush is just a little softer. It's not going to be as textured as this one, so this one will give you a little bit more texture. And so I'm going to put in my light fur areas. I'm going to use the Unbleached Titanium and Titanium White for that. And if you don't have Unbleached Titanium, any kind of off-white will probably do, ivory or something like that. Or just add a little bit of brown or yellow oxide to your paint. Your white, I mean. All right. I'm gonna put that in there. I'm going to use very small, very soft brush strokes. So I want to load my brush up fairly thick with paint, but I still want to have it at a point so that I can really kind of draw it in where I want it to go. Leaving a little bit of space where that dark is on the mouth.
We got a question about the brush again.
Okay.
They ask, what is the difference between the VelvetTouch and the Select?
The Select is just a little bit less expensive, so the VelvetTouch is going to be a little bit higher quality. I find the Select is pretty good quality in general, though, especially for the price point. It's, a lot of times the brushes that are cheaper like that are not great quality, but I think Princeton's done a good job of, keeping the prices down, but still pretty decent brushes. But if you have the money, I would invest in the VelvetTouch for sure, because it's gonna last longer and be a little bit easier to control, just slightly, just a little bit better. The quality makes a difference with brushes. You get what you pay for. I'm gonna get some white. I'm gonna do a real bright white right here underneath the nose, on either side of the nose. And up. And just wiping that out because I got, fairly thick paint down, and then I'm just gonna tap out along the sides there and kind of pull it out into the rest of the paint. And I haven't done the nose color yet, so it looks a little bit weird yet, but we'll get there. You can get that yellow oxide. Put that right there, put a little bit right here. Get a little bit of that burnt umber kind of going over. Just starting it up right here where it comes down from the nostrils, right here and here. Kind of angles down, just a little bit of a dark patch. All right. And then right here. And some of that unbleached titanium. Come up underneath the eye. Really lighten up that whole area under the eye. And over it.
We got a question
Okay.
regarding wrapping.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Not that kind. No laugh, huh?
Mm-mm.
Thanks.
That was- that
You
was-
just left me hanging out
that
there
was-
all by myself.
That was weak. That was weak.
Okay. So, anyways, so they would like to know: are there any tips that you have for wrapping up a painting to give as a gift?
To ship. Oh, to give as a gift. Okay. Yes, you want to use some sort of a wax paper or parchment paper, or if you have it, glassine paper is the kind of the what I use when I ship things. But it's similar to wax paper. Wax paper will do in a pinch. So, because I'm sure not everybody is going to have glassine paper sitting around. It's not a normal. So yeah, that just wrap it loosely with that, and then that'll protect the paint from sticking to the wrapping paper, and then just wrap it however you want. You could put bubble wrap around it if you think that it might get jostled around, but yeah, and then good to go. What I usually do when I'm shipping mine is I wrap it with the glassine first, and then I put 2 pieces of cardboard on either side of it, the same shape as the canvas, a little bit bigger if you've got it, is just slightly bigger, and then I use plastic wrap, the shipping plastic that sticks to itself, and wrap that around it to really seal that cardboard to the painting and protect it on either side. And then I put it in a bubble wrap to ship. But you can, and I mean a bubble wrap mailer to ship, not a box. But you could put it in a box too if you're. Usually that's enough as long as you've got some sort of sturdy support cardboard, some sort. This will help. All right, I feel like I need to get a little bit more of this around the eye here because it's not quite looking good yet. It's at this point where you're going to get to your painting, maybe beforehand, but for me, it's kind of like when you kind of start to question yourself, you're like, is this even making sense? Like, is it looking right? Because it doesn't look right yet. And then you just kind of have to push through that because it's just a mental block that you'll get while you're painting. And as long as you don't give up, then when you get to that point, just kind of keep on going through, push through, keep on painting, keep following the layers, that I'm mapping out for you. And for me, it's, just like keep on doing your layers. It's okay. We'll get there. I kind of mentally, somebody was like, I'm glad like they commented that, they got to a certain point in their painting and they stopped and they were kind of going, I don't think I'm doing this right. And right then during the video that I was like, you're going to start freaking out right about here saying, saying I'm not doing something right, but that's normal. So I'm like, I only mention that because I do it myself, so I just mentioned it to myself right here because, maybe that helps you as you're painting along. I always get to a certain point in my painting where I'm just like, I think this is not going right. But, it's just part of the process and kind of that ugly, I call it the ugly stage. The ugly stage can kind of really mess you up sometimes mentally. If you know to look for it though, then it kind of loses its power over you you can kind of mentally just kind of put it aside and say, okay, I'm still not done yet. So, when I get done, then we can stop and analyze and decide. And, and there probably will be things that we want to change it, but Right now it's too early to know. We just have to keep adding layers. It's just not early enough to stop and analyze because we don't have all the layers down. It's not finished yet. Let's keep on working on it. Getting some more of this dark. I don't think I got it quite dark enough. Adding some dark around the eyes because they have kind of dark colorings around the eyes. Let's go ahead and put in some of the nose features. Let me get that black in right here. Probably need a smaller brush than this. I don't think this one's small enough. I'm gonna it kind of does this heart shape, sort of. And then on the top area of it, it's a lot lighter, so not a lot lighter, but you know, it's lighter. You get a little bit, maybe a little bit of blue and some white. And I haven't cleaned out my brush, so it's still got that black in there. And start tapping in over the top, and then kind of just tap into that dark that we just did. Right in here, I'm getting some of the dark and tapping back over the light. Getting some of the white, and right here, and right here, got some highlights, and then right on the inside of this nostril here, and here. I need to get a smaller brush though. Just a little too big to get the smaller details in. So getting that black again. Has this strange shape. Kind of does this. This side kind of goes almost in a straight line, and it has that dark that kind of comes out like this, right down there. And this one's got that dark kind of here too, but not quite black. There and there. Okay, and then it's got this little area right above here, and this side it's not showing because this nose is kind of in the way of it. This nostril. But if you could see it straight on, you'd have this dark area right back in here. It's just a hint of a shadow of it. And then the dark, kind of started that nostril highlight there. And did that one. I think that looks like it's about in the right place. And as I'm tapping over this white, I'm just gonna let some of, oh, that's my dog. He's dreaming. Uh-oh. He's barking at squirrels. Something. Dreaming that the cat's playing with him. Finally. He tries so hard to get Cashmere to play with him. So sad. Our cat is not having it at all. She's just nope. Big old can of nope on that. Never gonna happen, dog. Just move on. He's just like, come on. He'll throw his toys and put them right at her feet too. It's so cute. It's just so sad. He's just like, I wish she would get over it. She would probably really enjoy playing with him, and she would just get over herself. And let her guard down a little. She's too old. She's just so set in her ways. Cashmere. She never warmed up to our other dog either. Alrighty, so that's pretty good. I'm going to get some of this Zinc White and use it as well because it's kind of a nice transparent white, so it's got a nice, more luminous quality. It's a little bit slightly transparent, so you can, well, not slightly, it is transparent, so it'll kind of put on a highlight, but it won't cover that black so harshly. So I'm pretty good with that, and then I'm going to draw around my nostril a little bit right there. Over the top of this nostril a little bit right there. Kind of brought that a little too low right there. And then there's a little bit of a highlight on the inside of the nostril right there. I'm seeing. And I'm just going to kind of tap in along that edge and darken up that white just slightly, kind of dirty up that line between the nose and the white there, and then I'm going to get some white and tap some lines down with that. I'm going to get a little bit of that black, and there's some of this black. Whoa, too much. Use paper towel to just kind of dab that off. There we go. Use some of that dark gray right here. Just tap that down below the mouth line a little bit. This needs to be shaped out a little bit better right here. Down slightly right there. This comes down here too. And then comes up pretty close to the nose right here. I don't think that's right. So right about where the hairs are right here. Come down. Goes all the way down to the eye. Comes across just a little bit right there. Get that unbleached titanium and white. I have a little bit of that gray in my brush too. It's alright. Added my white hairs to my ears. And just trying to do this so that you can see the hairs kind of streaking the direction they're going, but not filling in all those dark areas so that they're it's visible where the shadows, some visible shadows in there. We get a little bit of this gray, add some white to it, and add that right here. Okay, let's do the same thing over here. This side's a little bit more warm colored. Doesn't have as much of the gray. And bleached titanium. Kind of go in a line here and a line here, and then they kind of merge in the middle right here. Kind of do. No, they don't. This side, you're not seeing the hairs as much as you did on this side. I think it's because it's facing us a little bit more, maybe. Hairs are probably sticking out straight at us a little bit, some places. Get a little bit of the white. And let's get some of this burnt umber. Just kind of adding a mid-tone there. Let's go use a little bit of that burnt umber along the edge of the hairs. Just kind of softens that edge between the dark and the light a little bit. A little bit of a highlight along that edge. How's it going over there?
It is going super fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Good.
Looks like you're doing pretty good over there.
I think so. I'm trying.
There's no try.
I do. Okay. I shall do then.
Maybe we can do some dubstep.
That was just weird. Sorry. We watched The Mandalorian, the bad robot dudes were dubstepping, which is very strange. Every time they came on the screen, they were like dubstep music. That kind of, if you're not familiar with what dubstep is, it's like a, the dance music kind of, but very like electronic dance music.
It was going to be West Side Story, Dark Trooper style.
Yeah, it was pretty.
I think they're going to do a dance off.
I would like to see that. But not in that movie. Different setting, maybe.
Maria.
Mm-hmm. I feel pretty. Oh, so pretty. See them singing that.
But it was good.
Yes, it was.
I just wish I hadn't seen the
big reveal.
news article before I watched the show.
Yeah, me too.
I was trying to be careful and just scrolling through the news topics, and they had a screenshot that was a spoiler. And why would you do that?
I know. Because
But-
they want to see why that, character is associated with, Mandalorian. Yep. Now you know.
All I gotta say is that next season they better bring back Jar Jar Binks.
All right. Got some white here. Added it to my unbleached titanium. So pretty happy with the face overall. I'm going to definitely work on the eyes some more, so don't judge. Don't judge yet. We're not done that with that. But let's go ahead and kind of get some of this down here. Some of this highlighted fur. A little too wet. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and do this pretty light, and then I'm going to glaze over this. So just going to put it in my light areas with this, and we'll glaze back the dark areas in over the top a little bit. Got that a little too solid. I'm using my brush upright like this so I can get these kind of hair-like. And really whatever brush you've got that works this way for you. So, it may not be this brush, it may be a different brush that you can get. Just, sometimes some people like to use like a rake brush or something like that for fur. The angle brush, like I said, you can kind of use the tip of it and do this kind of a furry texture. Lots of different ways of doing it. The thing is, you just want that kind of little separation where you're seeing that dark color through, and you don't have like a straight line across where this starts and stops. So if you keep your brush at an angle, then you can kind of control where it starts, where the hairs, where the lines start. That made sense. It'll make sense when we glaze, hopefully. I'm even going over my dark areas and adding a little texture over those areas too. So, in some places. So it's going to look very white at this point, and that's okay. We'll tone it down to the right color with our glaze. Getting some of that unbleached titanium. I'm going to use it up here on my antler. work on his eye while that dries, and then we'll come back to finish it off. Alright, so his eyeball, a little bit of brown for the pupil. So I'm going to get burnt umber and burnt sienna and mix that together. Use that at the top and the bottom. Leave a little bit of the middle part because it's going to be the dark pupil. Or you could fill the whole thing in, really, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to get some black. And they have their pupils are slitted sideways. Like a horse, I think, has that same thing. Goats. Use that black and go around the bottom of this and make sure it's got good bones and give him some eyelashes. Could probably thin this out a little bit more, get thinner eyelashes. I'm going to try wiping that off. There we go. All right. Get my zinc white. I'm gonna add just a tiny bit of blue if I can get any of this that's already mixed. Maybe a little ultramarine. And I'm gonna go right up next to the black. Now, right up here, it goes right up to the edge. But then down, as it comes around, it's right. There's a little bit of ways from the black there. And I wipe my brush off, and then I'm kind of just pulling that up into the eye a little bit. Do it one more time. Okay. A little bit of the black. And then on the top, I'm going to add that burnt sienna. And do it right here. Wipe that brush off. And then just use the dry brush to kind of lift it, push it around a little bit. You can use your finger too. There we go. A little bit of transparency. I've got the black here. I'm just gonna kind of thin that out just a little bit right there. There we go. Now this side, there's just a little bit right there. There's not as much because you're not seeing as much. I can maybe get a little bit of that right here, just slightly. And then if we want to go a little bit brighter with it, we Can maybe go a little bit brighter right here. Give it a little glossiness. This side's definitely more in shadow, so don't overdo it on that side. Okay, I'm going to get my black. I didn't do my outline around this eye on this side with the black, so I need to bring this down. Do the black outline on him and bring his lid down a little bit right there, and bring it in just slightly right there. And that is rounded right there. Make sure I'm doing that curved line right here. This curve sells that rounded shape. And then same thing down here. Just curve it that way a little bit underneath. And then make sure I've got my black in the middle. Good and dark. I feel like I liked it better before I started fiddling with it. I think part of the problem is that I don't have this light color right here that from the ear that's in the picture. So I'm going to bring this down. This ear is like right here, and it kind of defines the edge of that eye and the lash line right there. Helps show that it's rounded. I brought it in a little bit, but I'm going to bring it back out. Then right here, I think that's off just a little bit. It's amazing. Eyes are it's one of those things that they're so expressive that just the tiniest little brush stroke can make a big difference with the expression of the animal. Okay. Zoom out, please. I need to be able to see I need to see it from a distance. Thanks. Okay. Better. Moving the top of it up just slightly. I don't know why. Just rounding it out a little bit more. I think that's helping. And then this is lower than this right here. This comes lower. And the cheek goes down right here. It's light in our picture, but I'm gonna make it a little bit darker than the background because the background is, it was snow behind it, or yeah, it's just not showing up against that. Maybe get a little bit of white. Much better. Okay. Fish Pickle, what you doing? I'm gonna rinse all of these out in my water because I've been sitting out for a while. Going back to sleeping. Got lots of napping to do. Get a little bit of black here. It's gonna mess with the nose just a little bit. Okay, I think I'm pretty close to being happy with that. 2 hours, that's not bad. Let's glaze it and we'll be done. Alright, I'm going to use let's use the 3/8" angle brush. That'll give us a little bit more room to maneuver. I'm going to get my Unbleached Titanium, a little bit of the yellow Oxide, and I'm going to dab little dots like all in here where those little details are in front of the antlers. And then kind of tap off so that they're not quite so bright. Okay. So I'm going to get the yellow Oxide and my glazing medium. If you have transparent yellow Oxide, you might use that instead. A little tiny bit of burnt sienna. That'll just kind of warm up that yellow a little bit. And then my glazing medium. If you don't have glazing medium, just use white. It's fine. Or water, I mean. Not white. Water. Just use a little bit extra water here. We're just wanting to go through and tint those light layers that we put down. So you can see how going over it, I'm going to start slowly and just kind of tint in little small sections, areas around the nose. This is really going to change the whole look of the piece. Around the eyes, a little bit in the ears. And I'm not doing it everywhere. I'm just using the tip of this brush to kind of strategically place this sort of where I want it to go. Let me get a little bit of the darker color. Going over it with the darker here. It's a little bit of burnt umber.
What colors are you using right now?
Burnt umber.
Okay,
I have the yellow still in my brush, but I kind of switched to burnt umber, so it's got a little bit of both. Kind of muddying up some of these area around the eye. It's light, but it's still got a little bit of that dark color showing through. Same with the nose here. Kind of got it almost too light in some spots. So this is just where you are, going back through and really controlling the values and the colors. You've got the groundwork of the texture of the fur laid down. I'm just going to use that anywhere where I'm like seeing that I've covered too much of it. Wipe it off. Get that burnt umber. And here I'm going to go a little bit darker. I'm going to get like the solid color and go back in with some of that because I feel like it's not dark enough underneath. So I'm going to really darken up that a little bit and bring that fur out just a little bit on this side. A little bit of unbleached titanium with this burnt umber. Just going to tap it in along that edge out there. Getting the burnt umber and black here. There we go. Nice and dark right there. Now this is solid color, this is not glazing. I'm just kind of adding back in those really, really darks in some places, but I'm putting them in my lines. Okay, now clean that out. Get some of the yellow, a little bit of the burnt umber. Yellow oxide, burnt umber. I didn't end up using the magenta. I don't think I'm going to need it. I thought I might add a little bit of a purple tone to the bushes and things back there, but I never did. So you can leave that off of your list. I'll take it off of mine. Okay, and then just right up under here. So this is transparent. Just tinting this whole area here. This more yellow tone. You can see how that, now that fur is really kind of more natural looking color. Hair, I don't know, is it fur or hair? Deer. Somebody's probably gonna leave me a comment about it. Okay, and then I'm gonna get the unbleached titanium.
I'll leave a comment. It's hair.
It's hair. Okay, thanks.
I'll leave another comment. It's fur.
Start an argument is what you'll do. Go back to the tractor days.
I do know it's not scales.
No. I know that much is true. Okay, now just going back through and adding some bits of bright white-ish in places. I've already got kind of pretty good right here. What, Fitz? My dog is like, done. I'm done, Mom. What's he doing? What? You want to be out? You done? I'm almost done. I know. Yeah, he's turning out all right. I like him. So let's use a little bit of this glaze on the antlers. Yellow. We've got that texture on there, so this is just going to tint it a little bit. I can get a little bit of brown. Use a little bit of that. Burnt umber. Just makes it a little bit more warmer, you know. Especially like where the transitions between the white and the dark are. You kind of go in there and just add a little bit of that color on there. It really makes a difference. And doing it this way is actually more luminous than if we did it with the actual color. So doing a glaze over the top of your light color is going to be a prettier, more natural looking color than if you were to paint it in. Because when you add white to a color, it kind of dulls it a little bit. But by putting the white down underneath, the white is now shining through the color, and so the color is much more vibrant and pretty. It's still the same value, you know, it's still that light color, but that white is now not dulling your color. It's making it more vibrant by shining through it. Hopefully that made sense.
I'm sure it did.
Okay, well, you weren't paying attention, obviously.
Well, a little bit. But not completely.
It's okay. I was talking paint talk. Blah, blah, blah. Painting. Blah, blah, blah.
Colors, paint, transparency. It's all, you know, it's all there.
Okay. Burnt umber. Black. No, more of the burnt umber than black. I'm going to use that glaze too, and then I'm going to use it in here because this area needs to be a little bit darker. I'm going to give it just a little bit in some of this fur here. You probably just go to the bathroom.
I hear Spencer moving around.
Oh, okay. So this is now where I just kind of look at it. Look at my reference photo, look them both from a distance. You can take a photograph of your painting and, you know, that can help you see it. See if there's anything to change at that point. I think I need a little bit of more detail. detail just right up in here on his, between his. Fur. Just seems very dark. Solid. Give it a little texture right there. And get some of that dark. Adding a little texture to that fur because it was just looking kind of solid light color, and that can happen when you're, using lots of layers of color. Sometimes your dark just goes away, so I'm just adding the dark back in and then add a little bit of the light color on top right there. All right, I think I'm gonna call him done. I'm sure there's things that I missed, but I can't really see them right now. Sometimes you need a little time to just kind of set with the painting, and then things will come to you. So, when you do yours, I would say, just kind of get it to that point where you think you're done, and then set it somewhere where you can kind of look at it for a few days. And a lot of times you'll kind of see things that maybe you missed when you're just sitting right here trying to finish it in one setting. It's really hard to see everything. So just adding some random light spots to his fur up here to break up that area. And I'm going to sign it. And let's go ahead and add just a little bit more white to the snow now that we've got him done. And we need to sprinkle him with snow too. So I'm going to go ahead.
Splatters.
Splatters, yep. End of year. Gotta go out with a good splattering.
We're talking about the painting.
Yeah, right.
Okay, just make sure.
Yes. Yeah, no car crash. Go ahead, you can do the super chat while I'm doing this.
Okay.
I'm just adding white.
Year-end jingle bells.
Yay.
Yes, we had many chatters today. We had 3 super chatters.
Nice.
The first super chat was from Megan, and she says, "Thank you for sharing your talent, Angela and Mark."
Hey.
But the and Mark was like 3 dots later. So kind of like, oh yeah.
So she's sharing your talent and Mark.
Angela and
I'm
yeah.
sharing you. She was saying,
And-
thank you for sharing your talent and thank you for sharing Mark. That's what
Oh, okay.
they meant,
No,
I think.
I think that's a bad deal. Paid way too much.
Thank you for sharing your talent and Mark.
The next one was from Laura, and she says, "Beautiful painting. Thank you, Angela and Mark. Love sound time with you all.
Oh,
Thumbs up, smiley face." So thank you,
thank
Laura.
you very much, Laura.
And the final one was from Lakshmi, and giving us a fist bump.
Nice.
Nice.
Fist
So
bump
thank
back.
you so much, Lakshmi.
That didn't look right. Here, fist bumps. Sound like I was punching her. No, not punching you.
Yeah. And thank you for everybody who donated through Super Chat this year. You guys are
Yes.
simply amazing.
And to all our patrons and our moderators who keep us running and help us out in our Facebook groups and all of that. They're amazing.
Sorry, we just got another Super Chat in. This one's from Penny.
Thank you, Penny.
Penny says, "Can't thank you enough for all you
Aw.
do. You both warm my heart."
Oh, thank you, Penny.
Thank you, Penny,
That's
so
awesome.
much. Yes, thank you. Yeah, to the wonderful patrons, the sponsors, all the
Yes.
dedicated people who've been following us for all over the years, and all the new people that have found us this year.
Yes.
We
It's
love
been a
having
really cool year. It's been, yeah.
so many people part of our little art family here.
Yes. I just added some rocks and just put a little bit of the snow on top of them to make them part of our background there. I don't know if that added anything or not, but you can decide for yourself if you want to add them or not. It's up to you.
You're painting.
Kind of on. Yep, you're painting your rules. You do you.
If you want to throw a tank or two in there, that's fine. You do you.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm throwing them out options, things
Okay.
that they could do.
True.
They can throw a cardinal in the background there, add
Yeah.
a pop of color.
I actually had originally thought that I might put ornaments from hanging from his antlers. I thought that would be kind of cute. Either that or like string of lights. And I have,
It looks like he would be really amused by that. Look at his face. Like,
mhm.
yeah, there's a whole bunch of nope on that.
He might be in the holiday mood. You never know. He is very festive. What's his name? Did anybody name him? Yeah, we probably need a name for him.
No, I don't think we got any names suggested. Stanley the Stag? Stuart?
Okay, got my zinc white. I added a little bit of titanium white to it to make it a little bit more opaque. And it's very fluid. Add in lots of water so that it just drips off my brush. If it doesn't drip off your brush really easily just by tapping it, then just add more water until it does. So that's the only secret to that. I think, when people say that splattering is hard, I think that they're just not adding enough water because it's probably one of the easiest things you can do. Just add water, use a fan brush or a stiff bristle toothbrush or something like that and do this. Tap it off. Tappa. I find the fan brush is nice because it's got a thinner line there so that the paint doesn't really get stuck in the bristles. I think a thicker brush might not work as easily. Whoa. Uh-oh.
Whoa.
Okay, I got a little heavy on there.
That's a little crazy.
And make sure that your background is dry so that if that does happen, you can just wipe it off. If my paint wasn't dry underneath, then I'd be really in trouble because then I wouldn't be able to tap it off. I'm going to get these ones that fell on his eye too because I don't want those to...
Yeah, you spent a lot of time on those eyes.
Exactly. And you can always kind of hold your hand over certain parts of your painting if you don't want them to get, paint on them. So you can tape them off. There's all kinds of different ways of protecting. And then I think I'm going to just kind of take it and since it's so kind of, bright, I'm going to try to get a paper towel that's big enough to cover most all of it. Now just be careful when you do this because you don't want to move this paper towel at all. You want it to lay on it, tap, and lift. And don't move it because if you move it then it's going to create a ghosting effect and you don't want that. So see how that kind of, when you tap off of it, it creates that, once it's been sitting there for a little bit, it creates kind of a halo almost. It really looks like a snowflake. It's
kind of
pretty
bokeh
cool.
out of focus.
Yeah, it does. It's kind of a neat effect. And then you can always go back through and splatter it again with your thicker paints or go through with a Q-tip and take some of the paint off that way, just whatever you want to do. But, you know, kind of by blobbing it a little bit, it kind of gives it a little bit softer look to your snow.
Somebody asked, does it have to be a fan brush?
No, it doesn't. But I find the fan brush is one of the easier ones to do it with. So, but I mean, just a stiff bristle brush or brush works best. So
You have used a toothbrush in the past.
yes, toothbrushes work really well. Like just a straight ones I find work a little bit better because it doesn't have as much to get caught in, and you just kind of use your thumb to rake it across, and it splatters. But just make sure you're pointing it down. Don't point it this way because it's going to go wherever the opposite direction that you're pulling here. So if you're pulling it in this direction, it's going to go that direction. Mm-hmm. So just turn it so that it's facing straight down at your thing when you do that. And otherwise it's just going to, if you hold it like this to do this, it's just going to fly everywhere, not on your painting. So, and same thing when I'm tapping and holding it this way, but I'm tapping in the direction that I want it to go. So I'm tapping down on it, and it's going to go down off the brush.
To every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction.
Exactly.
All sciencey on you
All
here.
right, sciencey, yep.
They suggested maybe Buck also for a name.
Oh, Buck, I like it.
Or Fredrix.
Fredrix, oh. Francisco, I like that name. For Elf, I don't know if you know that scene.
Oh, I know.
Francisco, that's fun to say. Francisco.
Oh, I like Francisco.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you for great 2020, even though we had some...
It wasn't the year we expected, but
No.
we had fun together.
We did. We had fun together. We got through it together, and you guys made it much more fun to hang out and everything. Just having you guys to hang out with really made our week and our month, year.
Yeah. For sure. Between the streaming, the live chat, the bonus videos, the Facebook groups,
Yes.
It's been an incredible community of
know
support.
I'm not sure how many videos we've done this year.
7.
7 videos all
Yeah.
year long.
Roughly. You can kind of round it to the nearest 100.
Right.
Rounding up.
I was going to pull up the file because I have them all on here. I can see I didn't post them yet. But there's June. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Did I count that? 9, 10? 10. 1, 2, 12, 13, 14. There's 8. Here, we'll just go through. Those are all the paintings from all year long, not counting December.
There's a few.
Yeah, so we average about 8 to 10 a year or a month. So yeah, about 100, a little over 100 probably this year. So pretty cool. And yeah, I'm honored that you guys paint with me. Whenever I see somebody that's painted one of the paintings from our tutorials, it just makes me feel good to know that you guys enjoy our art and are painting along, trying it, and sharing it. I don't get to comment on everything, but I do really try to see everything. Mark shows me stuff all the time on Facebook. He's better about getting on our Facebook groups than I am, so he shows me stuff all the time on there. And but yeah, you guys are awesome. So thank you so much. Take care. Be safe. And we will see you in 2021. Sorry, 2021. All right. See you. Bye, guys. Have a Merry Christmas.